So, as many of you read the flyer, 0.4% of the population is currently serving the U.S. military. So, it's very, very, very small population to begin with. Basically, what is that? Like, 1 out of maybe every 200 people. So, very, very small population. Now, out of that already small number, 14.6 of those are women. So, even more broken down. So, you can say it's man's world. Now, out of the branches, it's broken down even further for you to see. The largest branch is the Army, which is the highest percentage of female, and all the way down to the Marine Corps, which is the smallest rank, the lowest percentage of females. Now, across the branches it varies, but however, no matter what branch you're looking at, we are the minority, and because of that, we are in a way the vulnerable demographic of the military, you could say. But when I do say vulnerable, I do want you to keep in mind that I do not mean victim. I do not mean victim in any way. I know I can speak for all of us when I say we are not victims, and we all serve honorably in our respective branches. I would also like to address a certain stereotype before we begin, certain elephant in the room before we even get started, and that is immediately assuming that all female veterans are victims of sexual assault or sexual harassment while they serve. I'd be lying to say that that's not an issue in the military. I mean, of course, I don't want to say of course that happens, but that does happen. But I feel like that's an issue throughout our society. That's not just a military issue. It's not right and it's not okay. We're open to answer questions at the end. However, I don't want that to be the focus of this panel. I know that it is just like a huge stereotype that we do get a lot. So just keep that in mind. We all served and did some extraordinary and badass shit when we were serving. So let's focus on that here today. And just give us the same respect we would give our male counterparts, and try not to assume that we're all victims. Okay. Now, finally, time to meet our panelists. Constance, you want to begin? We'll just go down the line.
Hi, I'm Constance Bacon. I'm in the U.S. Army. I just got out of active duty about a month ago, and I'm currently in the reserves. I served 8 years. I was stationed in Hawaii and Washington State.
Hello, my name is Jaleesa Puckett. I was in the U.S. Air Force. I just got out in October. I served in New Mexico, Japan, Kuwait, Afghanistan, and Arizona.
Hello, I'm Sherry Spartout. I was in the U.S. Navy. I got out about 2 years ago. I was stationed in San Diego, and I'm a mechanical engineering major, and I've been here for 2 semesters. Hi, I'm Jake Pierre. I served in the Marine Corps for 5 years as a helicopter pilot. I got out about a year ago. And I'm in business management right now.
Okay. And like I said, I'm Kirsten Patio. I served in the United States Marine Corps for a little under 6 years. I was first an aviation maintenance clerk in Iwakuni, Japan for about 2 years, and then I went on security guard duty, and I worked with the U.S. embassies abroad, Sri Lanka, Uganda, and Barbados were my 3 posts. All right, so we're going to drive this conversation by putting up labels, different labels that we might get while we're in, and then we're going to discuss those labels further. So the first label that we will discuss is the boot.
So the new girl in the shop. So no one wants to be the new person in the shop, especially being a female, because they underestimate females. So the experience that I'm going to talk about is my time in Kuwait, my first deployment. So there was me and one other guy. We did most of the work for the entire shop, and we were shutting down a base. So it was guaranteed that you were going to work 12 hours, 6 days a week at minimum. I worked anywhere from 12 to 16 hours a day, at least 3 to 4 days a week. And at the end of it, neither one of us was recognized for the hard work that we did, and he ended up coming to me at the end of our time in Kuwait, and he said it's hard to see that neither one of us got recognized for all the hard work we did, and the person that did get recognized did half of the work that we did. And he's like, especially you, because you were the one that made me work harder because of the amount of work that you put in. And after that, he was ordered to deploy to Afghanistan. I ended up taking that deployment for him because he wanted to get back home to his family. And during my time in Afghanistan, I actually worked in the same area as the commanding officer. So he actually seen all the hard work that I did, which led to me getting PACAF Functional Award for Airman of the Year for my job for like the region. And it was because I had a lot of strong women that I worked with at my home station in Japan. And basically what they did is they always took the women under their wings. They're like, we have to work harder, we have to stick out. So we just have to put in the extra work so we can be seen. And after that, any base that I went to from there, they already knew my name before I got there. So I won't say that you have to work harder than the men, but I will say that you have to work hard enough to be seen and be heard.
All right, the next label that we will address is the barracks rat.
AKA the slut. So, first off, perception is reality in the Marine Corps and in the military and in the civilian world. If it looks like you're doing something wrong, then more than likely you're doing something wrong. Females have the ability to pick up negative stereotypes much easier than they can with positive stereotypes. You can get called a slut, a hoe, a tramp, uncomprehensive, incompetent, all of the above. And I've been called several of those just because people didn't really like me. And you don't really have to do much to get considered a special title. Your coworkers, your supervisors, your juniors, the closest people to you will be like one of the first ones to actually come for you and try to completely destroy your image. What helped me in my work center, since I worked with about 350 males and I was one of 4 females working in my squadron, I'm a bit of a tomboy, so I know how to relate to guys a lot better than I do females, which helped me out a lot. But for other females, if they laughed too hard at a guy's joke, they were considered a slut. If they wore a tight shirt, they were considered a slut. And it's really hard to drop the title once you have it. Having a gym buddy that's a male, you go out to the gym, you hang out with them for a while, you guys go get something to eat, and people automatically think that you're dating him, you want something from him, you're trying to advance your career, and it just might be a platonic relationship, and people can't distinguish the two. When you're off duty, you're held at the same standard as if you're on duty. The way people see you off duty is the image that they're going to keep whether or not you're spectacular on duty. And the barracks is where most of the Marines, unmarried, stay and live, and you live in close quarters with one another. And girls usually find that as an excuse to like cut up and wear provocative clothing or hang out with males, and that stereotype creates a harder environment for people who actually want to be there, who are trying to stay clean. It makes it harder for them in the work center and out of the work center because we get grouped in with the title slut regardless. That pretty much goes for anyone, whether it's military, civilian life, or grad school. You're gonna get branded one way or another, and you shouldn't let that define who you are. I'd say brush it off, keep it moving, and don't give guys or men in the world a reason not to respect you as a woman.
The next stereotype that we'll be addressing is the pregnant chick or the light duty. Sharon.
I'm a little nervous, so let me just get it out. So as a woman, biologically, one of our biggest goals in life is to start a family, have kids, get married, the whole thing, right? So, but in this day and age, we want to also, you know, we want to go to school, we want to start a career, we want to make them, you know, as much money as the men do, and we want to just be as good as the men. But the difference between men and women is that when a man wants to start a family, it doesn't really stop, like their life doesn't go on pause or it doesn't slow down in any way. But for women, our life definitely slows down, and if not, it just pauses, like whatever career you want to do. So for women, especially women with a career, there's never really a perfect time to start a family because you always want to get the job, you always want to be established before you even do anything different, or you want to get the next promotion or the next promotion, and by the time you know it, you finally get the job you dreamed of. You know, your biological clock is like definitely ticking and you're too old or whatever. So, pregnancy in the military, there's the biggest stereotype for the Navy is that, or probably for you guys too, is that when you get duties to go on deployment, a lot of females suddenly become pregnant and they get taken off duty. So when we get pregnant, we get taken off whatever duty we're currently at, and then we get put on light limited duty, which is what, yeah, the light limited duty. So LLD is for the broken and the pregnant, the people who can't suddenly, you know, get up and go and deploy and go fight. So we are there from when we're pregnant to, you know, we're pregnant, we get maternity leave, then you're there a year after your child is born because of all the, you know, your body changes, and also like you have to tend to the needs of your child. You know, we have all these appointments, and generally it falls on the female to take the kids to appointments, and so you're there in LLD for like definitely over 18 months, right? That's 18 months out of the time that you have to, you know, whatever career you want. This applies to anybody too besides the military. You know, we always have to have a pause in our life to start a family. So what comes first? And you have to, it's hard, this is the hardest decision, is to decide whether or not your career comes first or your family comes first. So before I joined the military, I had a 6-year contract, and I didn't even think about being married or having kids. And I was thinking, I have a 6-year contract, and I was like doing the math, I'd come out and find a man, get married, and have babies. I won't even have babies until like I'm like 30 because I want to be fully established and all that stuff. You know, all my ducks in a row before I even think about starting a family. But when I was in, you know, I met someone, we made a choice, and we decided to start a family then, which is a really, really, really tough decision because I quickly learned that it was going to be a huge setback to what I wanted to do in life. And eventually I had to leave the military, and I'm here and I'm going to school. It came up with a new plan. Now I want to be a mechanical engineer. Whether or not I make it, it's hard. And there's going to be, what I'm trying to say is going to be sacrifices. As a woman, there's definitely a lot of compromises. Our fulfillment get delayed because we're women, because it's harder for us to not fulfill what we really want to do. You know, it's complicated. So what I'm trying to say is that everything's going to be okay. I didn't think everything's going to be okay back when everything was like falling apart for me, and I wasn't going to be what I did not want to be a housewife. I don't know about you guys, that is so boring. I tried it for a little bit. Terrible. But if you want to, you can definitely. What I'm trying to say is, you're going to have setbacks, you're going to have pitfalls, and you're going to fall into stereotypes, you know, and I was upset because my life goal is not to be a stereotype in any way. I wanted to never pull the female card and never let anybody underestimate you. And when I got pregnant, I felt like that was the female card, and somebody was going to underestimate me, whether or not they know me. So you're going to have curveballs throughout life. You're going to have, you know, times where you don't think you're going to make it. You don't have a plan. Your reaction matters. So you have to adapt, and you have to remain strong and be strong. And don't ever pull the female card, and you have to set examples for everybody, and to shift the whole societal view of females being the weakest link or whatever. And we're resilient and we're adaptable, and we can multitask, which is something that the other gender cannot do. They just can't, you know. And the feeling you get after doing something hard and rewarding, and it's really, really empowering. It's really hard. It can kill you, but you're gonna feel great at the end of the day. And most importantly, though, what I want to say is that you have to support your fellow females. And that was one of the biggest things for me, because if I got judged by a dude, I'm just like, whatever, you're dumb. Like, if a female told me something and it would hurt 10 times more because I'm like, you know the struggles we have to go through, the stereotypes we have to break, you know, and making sure that we don't fall into the cracks of, you know, just pulling the female card and stuff like that. So don't judge each other, support each other, and just, you know, be strong and don't fall into, you know, this whole of like feeling bad for yourself because we're stronger than them. Don't even think about us not being stronger than them. So back then I thought it was a setback. Looking back now, I definitely feel like I'm ahead of the curve. You know, by the time I finish my career and I go out, I'm just gonna have to focus on my career because my family's already started and I don't feel the pressure or anything like that. And I feel like overall it made me a stronger person.
Our final label will be the bitch.
Give it to the smiling one. Hi, I'm the bitch. No. Okay, it has a lot to do with leadership. So in the military, you're going to be a certain type of leader. For females, it's automatically assumed that you're either going to be a bitch, you're going to be a pushover, or you're going to be weak. So, you know, of course you do have that. I mean, men can be bitches too, and weak and pushovers. But it's more so we get those automatic labels. So when we walk into a room and, you know, we're in some type of leadership position, and you automatically get that like, oh gosh, what's she gonna do? What's she gonna say? You know. So when I first got in, my first experience with female mentorship and female leaders was in basic training. And they would pull the women, you know, kind of, it seemed like they were like nitpicking at us a little bit, and I didn't understand it at the time until they actually sat down and talked to us. So there's a stance called parade rest in the military. Do you want to demonstrate? This is parade rest. So I would be standing at parade rest, and then somebody come running over, like literally running. Why are you standing at parade pretty? What are you doing? This is the military. And I'm like, I'm just standing there. What do you mean? I don't know how you can do it, but so then finally they pull us in and they're like, you know, as a woman in the military, you're kind of held to different standards. You have to be a little different. You know, you can't be caught slipping because the consequences are just a little bit harder for you. So that was kind of drilled in from day one, like, make sure you stay on your shit. Then I got to my first unit. My primary MOS is mechanic, so I was automatically in this male world, you know. So I went to a CAV unit, which they're scouts, so they go out and they're doing all this like crazy stuff, hiding in bushes and shit and jumping out. And I'm the only female, you know, like they didn't have too much interaction with females, so they kind of didn't know what to do with me. So when we had field training, they'd be like, what are we gonna do with bacon? Bacon, are you comfortable with this? I'm like, yeah, it's cool, it's great. So we're all sleeping back at LMTVs and stuff. But when it came time for certain things like uniform and standards and things like that, a lot of the male leaders didn't know how to handle me. So it's kind of like, can I touch you? I don't even know if your uniform is right now, so I'm just gonna let you go. So when I got to my next unit, there was more women. So there's more hands-on experience, like, come here, let me help you out, let me show you this is the right way to set up your uniform, this is how you should be. So I decided to take, you know, my male and my female leadership and kind of mold myself into the person that I thought I should be. Because a lot of people, you know, they feel like if you're in like a leadership position, that you have to either, you know, you can't be friendly with your soldiers or your Marine or Seaman or whatever you are. But I took the stance that, you know, we're all humans at the end of the day, male, female, it doesn't matter, and you kind of want to be treated with respect. So I treated my soldiers how I wanted to be treated, and it was pretty effective. Like, I worked with a lot of males. I didn't have problems, nobody was trying to challenge me, nobody was like, oh, you're a girl, you can't do this. And I think that's just the most effective way. You have to remember, at the end of the day, we're all humans. We all want to be treated a certain way. We all have basic rights. And as long as you're cognizant of that, you can be successful. I did a lot of things in the military. You know, I'm sure they did too. There was distinctions between us, but there was a lot of times where it just didn't matter. Like, we're doing combatives, And if you're fighting a man, you're getting punched in the face. It doesn't matter if you're a girl or not, like, you're getting hit. Okay, she took that punch, good job, you know, I didn't expect, I thought you were gonna fall, I thought, you know, thought you were gonna die on me. But, you know, it worked. So it's just, you know, there's pressures as being a woman, but there's so many rewards. And you just kind of, it helps you find yourself and your comfort level and figure out what you want to do and how you want to direct your life. And that's kind of what I got from my military experience. It helped me to be comfortable with myself. It helped me to be, you know, more responsible, more resilient in a lot of things. We get put in crazy situations. So if you can bounce back off of that, you know, if you can get clean using a wet wipe, you can do anything in life, you know. Anything is possible. So it's just really, it's a personal thing. It boils down to, you know, yourself. Are you resilient? Do you want it bad enough? How hard are you willing to work? Do what you need to do. And if you do those things, then don't fall into line. And that's what I got from my leadership experience, and that's what I try to put out to my soldiers. And it's something you can take with you in life, even if you're not in the military, with college. Like, how bad do you want it? It's hard. You may be failing. Maybe that midterm didn't go so well. But if you keep pushing, if you keep trying, you're going to get there.
I'm also going to speak on this slide. It's going to be a little repetitive, but I think I'm sure most of the things we're going to say. So, bitch is very commonly used for female leadership a lot of the times. I think there's an art to leadership that females do have to develop, and maybe more so than males at times, just because there's more focus on us, because there's more stereotype looking at us, and there's more attention just drawn to us all the time. When I was in the Marine Corps, I know I heard a lot of males make the comment that, you know, you don't need to like me, but you need to respect the rank on my collar. The rank would be on my collar. I think that's ridiculous. For a few reasons, for men and women, but especially for women, because no matter what, when I show up somewhere in uniform, my hair could be pulled back, you know, no makeup on, whatever. I'll be in uniform with it could be a sergeant in the Marine Corps, and the first thing that all males are going to see is, oh look, I know I have females over here, like, oh no, we got another female. That's the first thing they're going to see no matter what, and that's in and out of the military. I believe that no matter what your credentials are, the first thing that a lot of guys are going to see, right or wrong, is they're going to see that you're a female. And then whatever stereotypes or feelings they might have about that, that's going to come with it. So you need to recognize that. I mean, a lot of that's human nature, but you just need to be aware of that. And I think a lot of females do go wrong when they start acting like they have a chip on their shoulder, like that's not how it should be, so I'm just going to act extra, you know, like cold to them because they shouldn't be treating me like that. That's the wrong way to go about it too. Like, you can't act like a chip on your shoulder. You can't just be like, oh, since it shouldn't be this way, I'm gonna act this way to counter it. That's not the right way to go about it. I agree with Constance. The best way to go about it is you give the respect that you want in return. I know when I moved around a lot when I was in the Marine Corps. So when I was stationed in Japan, I was there for 2 years. But then when I went embassy duty, that's 3 different countries a year at each post. So that was every year I was rotating to a new post with a new set of Marines that I didn't know in a new position that I had to adapt to. So I know when I got to Uganda, at that point I was already a sergeant, E5, and I was a senior sergeant getting to Uganda. So that detachment is maybe like 9 Marines. So I was a senior sergeant at that detachment, and all the Marines that were already there were males. And a lot of them were infantry guys, which no females served in the infantry. At least up until that point, no females had served in the infantry. So they had a lot of them never worked with a female before. The few that had, they had terrible experiences with females for whatever reason. Like, we're talking about stereotypes and how we might have challenged stereotypes, but some stereotypes are true. So they might have met one female that fit that stereotype, and now we're coming in and we're having to face that stereotype, that label. So when I showed up, it was like 9 guys there. Half of them might have worked with a female they might have hated before, and then the other half never worked with a female. They just had all these ideas in their head. So I immediately came on as the senior sergeant. I was put in the A/slash position, so I was responsible for them, and immediately I was kind of on the defensive honestly, just because I had to earn the respect, and it's a skill. You have to be aware of like who you're dealing with. My biggest thing with there's a lot of different ways to gain respect by the guys in the military. I know the biggest thing was fitness. If you can outrun them, they're gonna be like, okay, you guys, like they're gonna always give you some respect for that. Obviously, that's not gonna translate into the civilian world. So there's other ways though. The biggest thing for me, I think, was communication with my Marines. So the more that I told them like the point, the end goal, the more that I told them like what the purpose of what they were doing, the more they heard the way I thought. Like it did two things. By giving all that communication, that does two things for your subordinates. For one, it teaches them how you're thinking, and so they will develop a trust for you. They'll say, okay, Sergeant Tatcha, she knows what she's talking about because I've heard her say X, Y, Z before. They learn to trust your process and your thought process. So when the times when you can't explain what the end goal is, they just trust you with it. So that establishes loyalty with them. That's one reason why communication is really big. The other reason is because you want your subordinates, the people under you, you want them to develop as leaders as well. So the more that I told them like, okay, we're going to do X, Y, Z so we can get this done, the more that I taught them like the process, the more they learn to do it on their own. So by the end of my time in Uganda, I had a well-functioning, well-oiled machine of the 10 of us, and it was a great detachment. They're still probably my favorite detachment I've ever worked with to this day. They were just a great group of Marines. I love those guys. They're my brothers to this day. So the point is, leadership is a tricky thing, especially male and female is a tricky thing, in and out of the military is a tricky thing. I think being a female, being in the military, I think it definitely put more pressure on us to figure that out faster and in different ways and be like a little creative with it, how we dealt with it. And honestly, we may have been the vulnerable demographic, but I think it made me stronger, and I know it made you guys stronger. You have to take what makes you vulnerable and spin it so that you're getting something out of it, so it's making you stronger in the end. And I think that is a lot of like what we have been saying. I think that's all I have. You guys have any closing remarks before we move to questions? All right, okay, so we're gonna move straight to questions now. I know we have a lot of time, so please, if you have questions. Okay, we'll go with Rob.
Sure. Question, so Secretary of Defense, doesn't matter. Anyway, Secretary of Defense, open up all combat roles for women. So I've never served with a woman in combat. I've been in combat all my life. I've never served with a woman side by side. Assuming they have the same capabilities, put that out there, right? How do you think that's going to affect the internal dynamics and the mission capability of the unit if you would serve a woman with 100 guys in a combat unit? Do you agree with that decision?
Okay, so, you're asking.
I'm asking you that.
Well, I'll say first, I can't speak for all females on how I feel about that. I can't speak on everybody. I can't speak for all of us. I will say personally, I am very hesitant about that. I don't think, there definitely are females that can physically meet that goal. And I know that's usually the first thing that you infantry guys say is, oh, they can't carry the packs like we can say. No, there are definitely females that can do that.
Assuming they have the same capabilities.
Yeah, so assuming we get over that part. Assuming we get over that part of it. To be honest with you, I am a little hesitant. I'm nervous about the dynamic thing. I wouldn't want to, personally for me, I have to keep saying this, I wouldn't want to tell a female, no, she can't go. That's what it really comes down to. I wouldn't want to tell a female that could meet the capabilities, that could overcome the dynamic situation. I wouldn't want to tell her, no, you cannot go infantry. But that's not something, it's war. It's war. It's not a social experiment either. So I feel like there's a lot of gray area. That's how I feel about it.
I'm like on the other end. I think it's great. If she meets the criteria, you can't tell her anything, all right? Y'all just better suck it up, accept it, and keep moving. Because it's growth. It really is. Like, the military has evolved from so much. Like, it used to be where women can only be admin and nurses. And look at us now, we're mechanics, you know, we're Marines, we're doing all this crazy badass stuff, and it had to start with somebody. So, who are we to stop progress?
Okay, Jessica.
All right, so I just wanted to address, on this topic right here real quick, okay? So I totally agree with what you're saying about the badassery and all that. I totally support the equality and the development of that, right? And combat bullying and Rob, we had that experience. I just want to add a thing and get your opinion on it. The way the society has historically raised men is to provide direct care to a female in need before they do a male. Now, with your argument that everything is equal, go about it, do you think that there would be a way for a man, think like a man for a second, if he would be the way he was raised by his mother, father, and all the reaching abilities of that, right? To subconsciously be able to identify and triage a man and a woman. You see what I'm saying? Because they're naturally raised and taught to provide and render care to a female first before a male. Just trying to get your take on that.
I mean, we're professionals, you know?
I understand.
And it goes into that, and part of it is, you know, when we're taught, it's in order of need. So if that male needs care first, he's going to get that care. It's not, I don't even think you're thinking about sex if you're in that type of situation. You're like, look, I need to save my battle. I need to keep it moving. I need to be effective and work. So it's not, you don't see sex in that scenario.
Okay, let me make this. I totally get what you're saying. Now, I want you to hypothetically put yourself in this situation, right? Because one of the topics was the mom, this and that, and we all want to raise a family, and a woman's goal is to have a kid and do this and be motherly, right? Now, with that mindset, you're saying that if a grown-ass man is hurt on the side of the road more severely than a little baby, you're going to go to the man first, because being a professional, we'll use an EMT in New York City, being a professional, he's supposed to treat the most injured one first, right? But we all know subconsciously that they're going to go to the child. Not saying that women are children, I'm just trying to get into the whole mental makeup of what my question was, because I think you missed what I was trying to get at with the way we've been raised, psychoanalytical thought processes of how most men have been raised to render care to a woman before a man, and if Juan's got his arm chopped off and a woman's got a little flesh wound, most men in their mind subconsciously are going to go and aid the woman, is all I'm
Okay,
trying to say.
let me say one thing. All right, so I understand what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying. I know when I was in the Marine Corps, what I was saying before, they're always going to see a woman first no matter what. Whereas we assume family roles when you're in a situation like that. I know, like I said, those guys are my brothers. They don't look at me like a brother, they look at me like a sister. And naturally, you're going to look at a sister and you're going to want to take care of her more. Some of the guys might look at me like a daughter if they were a little bit older. Some of the guys might have looked at me like their mother if I was older. Family roles do get assumed, and the way that we do view our family and society is ingrained in us, and it is subconscious. However, I don't think that it's necessarily the right thing to do either to say, no, you cannot, because it takes time. So if that was the argument, then none of us would be sitting here right now, because then we would have never been able to get into the military. Because that would have been the argument from the start. If embassy duty, that's the same thing. Like embassy duty, they throw crazy scenarios at what if could happen and what things like the crazy things could happen at the embassy. At the end of the day, like it took time to get my respect for my guys, but at the end of the day, I was in their leadership role, and they wouldn't have been turning to me to fix my leg if something happened. I would have been turning to them, or they would have been turning to each other. It takes time. It is a dangerous, delicate balance, and it's not something that I would say, oh, we need this many females in just to meet a quota, because that's dangerous. No, it needs to be the right girls that know what they're doing when they get in there for the right reasons, and that can meet the standards across the board, that you're not changing any standards. It's not an easy thing to say. It's not like a black or white situation at all. It's just fuzzy. I just think it takes time. I think it's gonna take time.
I was actually, I served in the Army, I was in the infantry, and I did deploy to Afghanistan, and I know before I left, and I left in 2014, and I know before I left, they were trying to implement women into the male-only infantry. I went to a boot camp where it was only, infantry boot camp is only for men, it's not for women. Which is why some Army people consider infantry boot camp the toughest one, because there's a lot of things that they do that you wouldn't necessarily do with a woman, you know, just subjectively. But before leaving, I know they were trying to implement women into infantry, but they sort of had female-only infantry units at the time, because there was the same thing that Jesse's saying. There's a lot of emotions get provoked when you see a woman injured in combat. I mean, I saw female medics that got injured, and it sort of like how I was raised, it sort of provoked me more than seeing a guy. And having that power dynamic where male and female are fighting in the front line infantry, you're talking about hardcore warfare. It's very, it depends on the relationship between the individual. It does, that is a factor. But just the fact that, like how you said, the first thing you notice if it's a leader or a soldier is that she's a male female, you know? And I want to say, like, I don't want to say, oh, they can't join, but it's very sensitive topic when you're talking about fighting side by side in such a scenario. I don't know, like, what's your take on that, but to me, it's really
Let me just add something, and get to him is the dynamics also, like, you know, I've been in a combat, and the things you see and do, you know, you can't do it with a female. Like, I've been spooning with a guy, literally, with my top and bottom out because I was cold. You know, I don't think I'm gonna feel that team comfortable. You know, and then there's also things like, you see those body parts. You know, you've been in the infantry, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, how are you gonna work that in there? I mean, it's not like I worship my body parts, but it's like, you're there. So we have this little space, you're gonna see it.
I'll take it for you.
So this is definitely a very fuzzy topic, right? And I agree with Constance about progress, but the thing is that at this day and age, we're sitting here because we're telling you that we have to break all these stereotypes before we even start to get respect from men, you know, as equals. So in that situation, we're not ready. I don't think we're ready we're not there yet, you know, because if you bring a female in, you know, you gotta start the process again with the whole respect and then making sure, proving to them that we're just as, you know, good as it. And on top of that, we have to prove beyond that we are better in any way. Like, these are the top-notch females actually even get considered breaking the mold to even get considered to be put in your commands, right? So it's at this point it's hard. I don't think that it's fuzzy. I'm not gonna say that no. It's great that we're starting, but at this point it's gonna be very tough because we have to fight. We still have to fight every step of the way. When we don't have to fight anymore, when it's like completely we go in, we get respect. We don't have to like every step of the way, you know, climb this mountain and try to prove that we're good and all that stuff. And then the whole, you know, motherly role and sister role and weaker role, whatever. Then this is not the time. To put in. But I'm glad that it started because it has to start somewhere. So they're gonna have a tough battle.
Definitely. But I still stand on my ground. I mean, I've worked with men. I was in a male-dominant MOS, mechanics, maintenance, and we were in a CAF scout unit, all males. So we have been in scenarios where all of us are sleeping in the back of the LMTV, or all of us are sleeping on the floor, you know, we're pulling guard together. And that's part of what the military teaches you. It teaches you how to build teamwork, camaraderie, you know, how to blur those lines, so to speak. I mean, of course, you know, okay, she's a girl. When it's time for me to get clean, they would get kicked out the back of the LMTV so I can wash up. And then when they did their thing, they had their time, and I went to do whatever. So there are ways around everything. I mean, it's progress. It takes time. It takes the right people and good leadership and commitment. So, I mean, you're not always going to be in this ideal scenario where it's a whole bunch of chicks and then a whole bunch of dudes and you're all in your bubble. That's just impossible.
All right, for the next question, can we move on? We can really this into the ground, like, really, especially if there's infantry guys, not that we could go at it. Well, Barbados and Japan, really all the places I was in. But Uganda, I know, there was one incident I could tell you. So the embassy is surrounded by, our exterior guard force are locals. So they're local Ugandans. And then we're the internal defense. There was a situation one time, I'm not gonna get into what the situation was, but one of my Marines, one of my guys got in a little bit of trouble out in town drinking, and it got back to the embassy, and the local guard force found out about it. And he came into the embassy looking for somebody to tell what happened, like one of the senior leadership of the Marines to tell what happened. He came in and I'm responsible, so I was like, what's the issue, what's going on? And he was like, no, this is a male issue. And I was like, no, I'm sorry, and I'm here, I'm like, I'm responsible for them, like, no, this is the Marine issue. I was like, what's the issue? He's like, no. He kept saying, no, this is a male issue, and, I had to be a little bit stern with him, and finally he was like, okay, fine, like, this is what the issue is. But, in other words, the same thing with them. Like, especially different countries, you have to keep in mind, different cultures, they're gonna view women differently. Some countries, females aren't even sent to. I know I actually had orders to go to set up a detachment in Juba, South Sudan. Originally I had orders in Brazil, and then they canked those orders, and they're saying, okay, you're gonna go to Juba, South Sudan instead, set up the detachment there. And then when my higher ups found out it was a female, like my CO found out it was a female name that was on the list, he was like, we don't know how those Sudanese are gonna act with, we don't know how we're gonna respect her, like, let's just send her to Uganda instead. And that's how I ended up in Uganda. So, I mean, it went from Brazil to Uganda. It wasn't bad. It was and so, yeah, different countries, they're gonna look at you differently. I mean, that's expected, I think.
So I worked customs when I was in Kuwait, and I was in a one-person slot, and I had to deal directly with the Kuwaitis, and it was difficult at first because they did not want to deal with the female, but 3 times they saw that I was good at my job, so they started to open up a little bit more, but it was really hard at first, and it was the same way when I was in Afghanistan.
Question?
In the interest of seeing how your service could be helpful to folks here, I'm wondering if you have thoughts on what the most effective ways are that the men in the room can be allies to the women in the room in establishing equality, and whether during the service there were any exemplary moments. I mean, we've kind of focused on men being pains in the ass to women. Were there any moments that stood out for you where men treated you as equals and helped everyone in the community see that and do that?
Okay, so when I first got to my unit, I was 19 at the time, and I was the youngest one in my shop. And as soon as I got there, they made me play the female part. They kept me away from all the tools. They kept me away from the aircraft. They kept me like reading books and typing random things because they didn't trust me out on the aircraft. It took a while for them to like see me as somewhat of an equal, and I know I had to work twice as hard as anyone in my shop, especially fixing aircraft. I had to be the first one out there, the last one back in, and in time it did change. The dynamics did change where they could like pick me first to do a certain job or whatever the case was, without them having to be like, oh, she needs to have a man go with her. She could handle this by herself. Just takes time, I guess. But that answers.
Well, I'm hoping that the men in the room, many of whom are becoming men, might jumpstart that process a little bit, like to get beyond, like it takes time for them. Like my
Right.
hope is there
I mean, I will say-
who have lessons to help them how to behave.
Well, I think that should start earlier than college because the men that I worked with were their ages ranged from like 26 to maybe about 39, 40, and even the 40-year-olds had a problem with me going out to the aircraft to fix it. So if they waited that long to try to break their mentality of me, then it needed to start way earlier. Way earlier.
I will say too, one thing. I know when I showed up somewhere new, a lot of time, and I know a lot lot of times we get kind of like a female talk, like, okay, never worked with a female before, like the guy just kind of like letting you know, like, I never worked with a female before, I don't know what I can say in front of you, I don't know if you do everything, or that, like, it's not, it might sound offensive, like hearing that now, but honestly, it's better just address the elephant in the room. If you know that you feel some type of way about having a female working with you, just say that right up front, like, I never worked with a female, just say that, that's the best thing I can tell you. If you're a guy and you're working with a female in some weird situation where you didn't expect a female to show up, just say that. Get that over with now, and then if they'll laugh about it, and then you'll move on, and then you'll end up saying that she's fucking awesome, probably. So, that's the best advice I can give about that, and I know that's what a lot of guys did when I was in, so. Next question.
So what I want to know is, do female officers get, do they get treated like, do they get a lot of the same stereotypes that the enlisted women do, or do they get like more respect because they're like higher rank? Then they get treated the same way?
They get treated the same way, but not to their face. That's what I encountered. When you're an officer compared to an enlisted, and you tell an enlisted person to do something, he'll do it, but he's gonna talk shit about it the entire time he's doing it. So.
And that's probably officers, male or female, to be honest.
Well,
But-
it's more for females.
But yeah, for female, there's definitely less female officers than there are female enlisted. That's been way less. So,
Yeah.
So yeah. I agree. Yes.
So, my question is, do you see, like, your presence in a work center or in a shop had a positive impact? Like, not the moment you walked in, but within, say, a few weeks to a few months? Because I know, so I was an electrician in the Navy, and so I had my shop, and then we had engineering department. And we had a lot of hard-charging females. And that made the guys, we had to step up because we were like, hey, let the girls beat us. And then the girls would be like, well, now they're beating us, now we have to do better. And then so all of a sudden, by the end of it, everybody's, we still talk. We have a group chat that we send dumb memes once in a blue moon and stuff. Like everybody, the females, the males. But by the end of, I would say, deployment, we were the best department on the ship between weapons, combat, all that, because we had those hard-charging females. Would you say that is maybe just my command it was due to, or is that military-wide?
I know I outran a guy in a PAT, the fitness test, at MSG school in Quantico. I ran a bunch of guys, but one guy in particular came up to me afterwards and was like, I was trying to keep up with you the whole time, and now I'm going to start running again, and just like telling me that. I didn't even notice him, so. In some ways, our presence does, military is competitive to begin with, so in some ways our presence does make you feel like, okay, can't the girl beat me, so.
So the thing with that is that there are going to be females, we have to work, obviously, much harder than the males. There are going to be females everywhere that's going to be super satisfactory, whatever. So what I'm trying to say is that in your command and also your Marine is that you guys have better attitudes about it. And if you had a male who was just like, I hate her because she's better than me, and trying to put you down, like trying to kick you, something like that, and that wouldn't work out. So what made your department better is that you guys took that and you were like, you know what, and you spun it in a better way than it with hate or I'm not gonna say hate, it's not hate.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you didn't get down because they were trying to.
Yeah, like
it's compete.
you respected the fact that we were better, and then you wanted to be better because we were better. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like
So considering that there's full integration now in combat forces, do you feel that going forward, females and males should be segregated in terms of like field conditions, where they sleep, where they, definitely at a facility and stuff, and showers, things like that. Should it be segregated or should it be segregated?
I think it should be still segregated. There's already uncomfort between the two sexes already, and having your personal space invaded by the opposite sex would just make trying to integrate both of them harder, in my opinion.
If that's gonna be the one thing that stops females from being in infantry because they don't wanna, like, poop in front of the other one. That happens too.
I mean, I think it's the same, like, they say train as you fight, and like, when you're deployed, you still do have separate facilities for the male and for the female. So I don't think that would be a big issue or a big deal, not too much of a change. I know when we've done like field training and stuff, there was only one tank, my ass was not gonna be sleeping outside. I was gonna be there with them, so, you know, it depends on your command, it depends on, you know, the people around you, but it's possible.
How am I back? Yeah.
So hi, I am a U.S. Army veteran, and I'm not sure if you all addressed this, but some of the other issues that I particularly faced, and I saw other people face, was not only do you have to strive to work harder and better, but you also have to make sure that you're not getting special perks from men because you're a woman, because you're an attractive female. And I know, like, when I went to sergeant school, it was like, I remember I was called down to the office by one of the head SGLs, and he's like, oh, you know, you remind me of, you know, one of my girlfriends in the past. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not her. It was like, what do you think about, you know, would you like to be head of the class when you graduate? Would you like to? And I said, I'm a Donna. No shade on her. Like, I don't want to screw or get past because of, you know, how I look or whatever. I want to know that I worked for it, I earned it, and that makes me sleep at night. Because now I work for the Department of Veterans Affairs, and on this end of it, a lot of young women, those who will admit, are coming out having suffered from what they call military sexual trauma and things of that nature. And I hear a lot of stories, you know. Some women, it takes a lot for them to even come forward with that because in some cases it just became a part of the environment to be harassed in that way. Like, oh, he's just a guy. Oh, that's just what it is. That's just, you know, and a lot of them just make all kinds of exceptions to that. But yeah, on the other end of it, now I'm seeing this a good amount of you know, MST cases now. So that's something else. Something else I want to throw out, I did start a group on Locked In Vet Network because I'm noticing on the other end, being out now, there are a lot of programs that are kind of more geared towards men. That's another thing. It's like, okay, and then everyone's asking, well, where are the females when they come out? I can't find females. Like, where are they? But a lot of times, a lot of women veterans kind of put themselves away. Like, okay, they don't even identify with, you know, being a veteran or having served and things of that nature. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Not really questions, just statements.
Those things are definitely exciting. I think we only have time for like maybe. This might be the last one. Just go ahead.
Would you guys do it again? Like, going back into what you know now, and everything that you guys went through, the experiences and stuff, and the moment you guys joined, you were a lot younger, didn't know where you were going to go and stuff, would you go back and do it again?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love the Marine Corps. I love my time in. I mean, there's going to be struggles no matter what you do and where you go. I loved it. I love my time in.
I think that it's made me the person that I am today, so I would definitely say that I would do it all over again.
Are there any more questions? We have like, I mean, we squeeze one more in if somebody else has a question. You already asked a question. Okay, yeah, we'll get
Well,
there.
it's not really a question. It's like, I feel like this is something that a lot of like the military needs to incorporate to really like recruitment centers or people that first join in, because a lot of young males or women that are 18, 19, and you know they're still very immature and they don't understand this, you know, great perspective that you guys are telling us right now. And I feel like like me and a lot of my friends I went with, if we had gotten this like panel, this perspective, then it would change a whole lot of, you know, views how we saw women in the industry. I'm sure a lot of people too in that sense. So this is very good that you guys are doing.
Thank you. Juan?
Can I just ask one quick question? No, it's more of a, question. So, Kenya, as you know, as a male, went through BMT, whatever, we all, veterans. So my question is, can you walk us through life going through BMT as a female?
Boot camp?
Yeah, boot camp, basic military training, sorry. So, I know it's tough for males in general, but I imagine, how did you go? Huh? What was your biggest struggles, I guess? Let's start with that. What was the biggest struggles?
What do you think is different? Like, what are you trying to get out of this?
No, I'm asking you. For me, there's no difference, but
So boot camp for the Marine Corps is separate. It's segregated, female and male. So females are on their own. We had our own battalion, full battalion, But so for females and males, I can only speak on what I saw as a female and compare it to what I heard the male boot camp was. I know, like, the way they got in our heads was differently. I assumed. I mean, okay, so for the female drill instructors, they would get us into our heads and say, you're fat, you look like boys, like stuff like that. Stuff that would get into a female's head as a 19-year-old girl when I went in. And for the males, they don't do that in boot camp. Do they do that in boot camp, male boot camp? Yeah, so, I mean, they get in your heads different ways, and that's just a matter of how you're going to break them down, break that gender down. So, I mean, it is interesting to look at how they're going to break it down. I know also for boot camp, I know they definitely did not feed us the same. I always say this. I can tell you a story. When I was in boot camp, well, first of all, chow halls are different, so we don't have like butter on our food and stuff, because females gain weight easier, and I was just starved the entire time. I was like 30 pounds lighter than I am right now, starving for 3 months and getting yelled at. But I know that I went to the dentist at one point, and I remember I walked into the dentist, and the dentist talks to you like you're a normal human being, and that's like so rare. So the dentist, and the dentist is so nice to me, she's like, so what is the thing that you miss the most, recruit? Like, being in boot camp, what's the thing you miss the most? And I immediately was like, I'm just so hungry, like, I just want some like ravioli, like, I don't know, like, I just need some food, like, and she just started laughing. She's like, every time the male recruits come in here, they talk about how they miss their girlfriend, and they miss their mom, and every time female recruits come in here, they talk about food. We're hungry, like, we were so hungry. So, I mean, there's obviously, like, big differences between the male and female boot camp, but for the most part, we're getting the same training. It's just weird differences like that you're going to see for the Marine Corps. For other boot camps, you guys are integrated, so.
Amazing. There's no different food. We sat together. I was not hungry.
I know we went to the range, though. I know the guys were like, oh my God, your female drill instructors are terrifying. They're gorgeous, and they're most terrifying. They're beautiful devil women. Yeah. They smell so good. They smell so good. They get in your face, and they smell so good, and they're beautiful, and they just hate you.
I would just like to thank the 5 of you for having put this panel together, volunteered to do it, and presented it so well. So on behalf of everyone, a round of applause, please.
On your way out, there is a flyer for our next event. I need to promote this next event. It is next Wednesday. It is the Marine Corps Combat Fitness Test, but it will be the Ironman, Iron Woman competition for everybody. It's open to all students. So just register at Manhattan.edu Ironman, show up at 12 at Gaelic Park, and we'll see how much we're motivated.
Can you explain real quick, what is it?
The Combat Fitness Test, the Marine Corps Combat Fitness Test, just really quickly, it's 3 parts. So it's a half-mile sprint. It's an ammo can lift, so it's a 30-pound ammo can. You're just going, you see him there, you're going up and down for like 100 of them. And then the final thing is an obstacle course, which you see in that image right here. And this is the obstacle course. It's basically just like a couple minutes long, and you're gonna be like buddy carrying and buddy dragging and throwing a fake grenade and stuff. And It's the combat fitness test that we use with Marine Corps, and it's all timed, so depending on what time you get, depending on what score you get, and then for the winners, we do have prizes. So please come out, even if you don't want to run it, come support us.
There will be cupcakes.
She's making cupcakes.
I'll be there.
Galen Park, wear long sleeves and long pants, and boots.
And if you want, there's a YouTube